Ooh, welcome back to Blue Rush, a New York Giants podcast from the New York Post. This episode of Blue Rush is presented by Tri-State Cadillac Dealers. Visit your Cadillac showroom today. I'm the Podfather, Jake Brown, alongside BL, Brandon London, in the building here on our Christmas episode. And of course, coming from Kansas City, it's two-time Super Bowl champion, Lawrence Tynes. Guys, let's kick this damn thing off. If you're ever going to lose a game, lose it that way. I mean, the grit that Daniel Jones showed, the grit the Giants showed going into Minnesota and nearly winning that game, a 61-yard kick to end it at the buzzer. I mean, you couldn't ask for much of a better effort. We'll break down what went wrong and what you would like to see better. But Daniel Jones showed a lot of moxie, Lawrence, and this team showed a lot of heart and are still in great shape after getting some help from the teams below them to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, you never feel great after a loss, and they shouldn't, but it was just a missed opportunity. They had tons of chances to win that game. You know, the Giants have lost in the last 5-6 years, dating back to Graham Gano's 63-yard field goal. Jake Elliott hit a 61-yarder to beat them. And then today, another 61-yard field goal to beat the Giants. They are cursed. Anything over 60 is going in. But, you know, they played tough. They hung in there, missed opportunities, as Coach Coughlin would say. You know, opportunities are never lost. Someone else always takes them. And give credit to Greg Joseph. I mean, hitting a big kick like that, 61 yards, getting in position to make the kick with such little time left on the clock. You got to give credit to the Vikings. But, you know, I leave the game impressed with the Giants overall. You know, offensively, the way Daniel threw it, the way the receivers competed. The defense played really well. You know, they hung in there. They controlled Jefferson to some degree. And gave themselves a shot to win, but obviously it wasn't enough.
And don't forget that Graham Gano hit a game-winning 63-yard field goal against the Giants in a Panthers uniform back in 2018.
Yeah.
So they're cursed by 60-plus yarders, Brandon.
They are. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you got to keep your head up after this loss. You know, I think this is one of those losses that really could galvanize this team, bring them together, and hopefully spark them on some sort of run. Obviously, you got to beat the Colts next week, but you don't walk away. You don't walk away from this game thinking like, "Oh, we suck," or "Oh, we're a team that can't play." You know, with the top tier teams in the NFC. I mean, you play Giants football, you have a shot. That's exactly what they showed. If you have Giants football, you have a shot. It's just when the mistakes happen, from block punts to interceptions to fumbles. Those are the things that when you break down this tape and you look at it, you're like, guys, we're 4 to 5 plays away from beating the number 2 seed in the NFC. So obviously it's one of those things where it's like a glass half full, glass half empty. Yeah, you want to win that game. You want to come out of a hostile environment like that with a W. But there's a lot of good things that the Giants did this game. And again, you said Daniel Jones showing moxie. I thought Daniel Jones played probably his best football game as a Giant. And I think Mike Kafka called the best game he has called the entire year for this Giants offense. So going into next week, this team has nothing. You should have nothing but confidence going in at MetLife Stadium against the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, and listen, the blocked punt led to points. That led to a touchdown. And Lawrence, you could break that down. And Daniel Bellinger's fumble led to points. I mean, that's 10 points right there just off of turnovers, Lawrence. What happened on the punt there? Because it looked like he had trouble, as you say, molding the football.
Yeah, they didn't have a great angle on it. You know, I waited for them to get an angle behind the punter so I could see. There was an angle late that kind of showed Kreider getting, knocked down. And then, obviously Julian loves the PP. Well, he had 2 guys on him. He's got to take one.
Yep.
And Coughlin was in there too. So when I look at the all 22 later in the week, we'll be able to see it. But you never want 2 guys on the PP because Julian has to make a decision. He picked a guy, and obviously the other guy snuck in. So I think maybe Kreider just kind of fell down. He's supposed to get depth there after he snaps the ball, and it was a bad play. I don't think none of this is on Jamie Gillen at all. The 2 turnovers hurt. We'll talk about the bad. I thought Evan Neal had another slow start again.
Yep.
He continues to have these slow starts, putting the defenses or the offense in bad down and distances. The fumble by Bellinger was just a great play by the defender. You got to secure the football. Richie James had a drop. But overall, costly drop there. That was points. But overall, to your point, I think you're right, Jake. I think I've never seen Daniel look so in command of the offense and the way he was throwing the balls. I mean, I'm getting texts from guys I played with 10, 15 years ago, Chiefs and some other teams, not necessarily all with the Giants, saying, man, if y'all don't pay this guy $40 million a year, somebody's going to. Yep. And these are pro football players. They know what it's supposed to look like. So, overall, it's just a missed opportunity. You hate it. And I think it's why why Dable was so upset at the podium. He realizes they had a chance because Seattle lost and Detroit lost. You lock it up, you can figure out some things. And then, obviously, Azeez is hurt again, and it looks like Leonard Williams is hurt. That's not good. That's not good for this team going forward. We talked about how many snaps this unit has played together, and quite frankly, it hasn't been enough, and it doesn't look like they're going to get to play together maybe next week either.
Yeah, and then one more mistake was a Feliciano hold when they were driving. Do you see how this team can drive? Do you see when Mike Kafka and this offense is on? Okay, we're not getting the big play. You're not getting a 40, 50-yard bomb that a lot of these other explosive offenses are doing in the NFL. But this is a rhythm offense, and they were moving the ball. You can see them little small chunk here, 11-yard run here, 5-10-yard throw here, and they're in rhythm. And that was one of the mistakes that ended up being costly because I don't think they got points out of that. Gillen had a punt, but again, to go back to what you were saying about guys now being hurt and trying to take advantage of other teams losing. This defense, Tynes, you just said it. Wink called a great game. Wink called himself a heck of a game. And what you saw was what the Giants need in the sense of playmakers. The Vikings had playmakers make some big plays and some contested catches, make big catches and get rack yards in big moments. And that's what beats this Giants defense. When they don't beat themselves, whether it's a missed assignment or roughing the passer or whatever, this Giants defense plays really sound, and hopefully you can get a Adoree Jackson back, an X back, because losing Azeez and then losing Leonard is going to hurt as well. But Wink Martindale and that defense, I mean, he was like the blue collar guy against Harry Styles. He and Harry Styles went back and forth in terms of both coordinators. And
the only call he would want back, though, Brandon, is that 3rd and 11 at the very end of the game. I don't know why you blitz there. They called a great screenplay, and they get enough distance, obviously, to make a 61-yard field goal. But for me, I think that's the one time you have to throttle back, sit back in zone, and make a tackle in front of you. They're not going to get whatever he got there, 14, 15 yards, and no way are they kicking it. You go to OT and see what happens. That's the one call I think he would want back. On the flip side of this, Flott's got to come down with that pick. Moreau had one where he kind of interfered on the play. That was a good call. And then McLeod had one early in the game. Not that it mattered, but I'm saying you got to make these plays when they come to you guys. This is what this team is not doing in order to win these tight ball games. But overall, it's not I'm a glass half full, not a glass half empty guy. I feel like they can take some positives out of this, but certainly the stakes get higher next week. I mean, listen, Indy's not playing for anything, and that sometimes can be very dangerous.
I think one call he might want back as well is running that cover 2 man on Justin Jefferson in that red zone, that third down, that 3rd and goal like that. I mean, you talking about a route savvy receiver. I understand what he wanted to do to get 2 guys on him, but he just you can't put a guy on trail technique against this dude, man. He is. And then the Pinnock, I believe Jason Pinnock was the safety. Your feet are on the goal line, bro. Like, you got to be up there to help make that play, being there to at least affect that when it comes to when that ball gets in there, make it into a bang play against a guy like that. So those 2 plays right there, I think were just 2 that he would definitely want back. And again, you put that on top of some drop picks, some missed opportunities, and it's like, you hands up. We knew we should have taken that game. Now you got to go into to MetLife next week and beat the Colts. My bad jumping on you, Jake. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was talking the Lawrence play, the 3rd 11 blitz. I mean, if it was 14 or 15, they might have been good. It went for 17, and that's what they needed. Those extra couple of yards, Lawrence, is what made it 61 instead of maybe 65. And I would have just played more conservative there, especially when they have no timeouts. Like, if the Giants play conservative, like, back them, keep them down, maybe do a little gamesmanship, push them down a little bit, get those couple extra seconds to go off. They maybe don't have a chance to spike the ball either. So I agree. I didn't like that call from Wink.
But that's why you blitz in that situation, though, to get the ball out of his hands fast. I think that that was a great call. It was the linemen got out there. Kayvon may not have gotten hold, threw his hands up. But when you blitz there in that situation, with them having no timeouts, you want to get that ball out fast, rally and make the tackle. It's just like you said, they got 17 on it. They stung them, they got them, and now put them in the position to win the game.
Yeah, Kayvon dropped out into the flat on that play. It was a great call. I think I understood what Wink was thinking, but they just had a perfect call right underneath Kayvon as he dropped into the flat. It was kind of like a middle screen, right? Or whatever you want to call it. No question today, though, Daniel Jones was the best quarterback on that football field.
Absolutely.
You can talk about Kirk Cousins, the Pro Bowler, whatever the hell you want, but Kirk Cousins has a lot of weapons that Daniel Jones doesn't. And Daniel Jones was the best quarterback on that field today. No questions asked.
And that's why you said you were getting those texts, because I believe people were looking at that in the sense where you're evaluating Daniel in this game against Kirk Cousins. You're looking at it like, if you flipped the two quarterbacks, Daniel Jones, oh my gosh, I think we'd be talking MVP if you're talking with those weapons, because a lot of things that Kirk Cousins didn't do or can't do. A lot of you saw when the pocket was collapsing, he kind of just conceded and just gave it up. We saw Daniel go back to using his feet again. And this dude is deadly with his feet as long as he slides. I need this dude to slide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Listen, Saquon had a fantastic game. Thought he did awesome running the ball, catching the ball in the backfield. Richie played great. He had to drop. I get it. People were going to point to that, but Richie had a great game. Slayton, I think we almost had 3 receivers over 90 yards, 80 yards. I mean, that's it. Hodgins continues to show up. Bellinger, had the bad fumble. But overall, I think they found out some things about their offense and what they're capable of. We haven't really seen them open this thing up like they did. And, Indy has a good defense, but certainly the Giants have a lot to play for on Sunday. They get an extra day's rest, a day and a half, 2 days, because, the Colts play tomorrow. And I know we have a preview show, but it's just kind of on the top of my head because the Giants have to win that game. Philly just lost to Dallas. So, depending on what happens next week, Philly's not maybe just going to pack it in last game of the year. So,
yeah, the Colts will play Monday night against the Chargers, a tough game there. So, like you said, shorter rest, and MetLife's got to be rocking. I don't think it'll be as cold as it's been this week.
I saw 60 degrees. I saw 60. Already looked at the weather.
60. Really? Yep.
So I want those towels waving. I mean, they got to get that place. That is a playoff game.
60 on New Year's Day. Wow. That reminds me last year, the Jets-Bucks game where Antonio Brown ran off the field. It was like 60. I was wearing shorts to the game.
That was Jake's video that went viral. Jake had the video.
I didn't get $1 out of that. It's a shame. How did I not monetize it?
It's like the Giants. You got to capitalize, man. You got to capitalize on the
TMZ sliding in the DMs. Throw me a couple bucks. Buy me dinner.
Can we use your video?
Yeah. I almost want to say, Venmo me 100, send him my Venmo, and then go from there. What about the, after that Richie James drop, I thought there was a chance they should have went for it there. Do you agree? 4th and 5, you're at the 37, maybe you eat some more clock if you get it. Obviously clock wasn't an issue when the Giants had an under a minute touchdown drive, but would you have thought about going for it on 4th and 5 down 4?
What was the score?
17-13.
How much time was left?
There was 6:20, around 6:20 left, 6:24.
I like the punt there just because you're playing pretty good defense.
Yeah.
And it was just a little outside of Graham's range. I mean, Graham hits another 55-yarder again today. I mean, what can you say about him? But yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back and really kind of watch the game in real time to figure out, because I think I was okay with the punt, to be honest with you. The way the defense was, kind of shutting them down and making Kirk sit in that pocket. Man, he looks at one guy. It's crazy. Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
And he has guys all over the field. But, yeah, I just hope these injuries aren't too bad. I don't know what the updates are going to be with Leonard and Azeez. But, man, Azeez just cannot stay healthy. It's horrible.
Yeah. And you don't want that. You don't want him to be known for that, because you just think of what the Giants organization has seen too many guys be so talented but still be hit with that injury bug. It's like
this is a new one, right? It was an ankle.
Yeah, and that's something that when you come back from that, you're gonna try and push it, but then you might be favoring it too much and you put too much on the other ankle. And this is, I think it could be one of those things where you may have to protect the player from himself, because now it gets into your head and you're like, oh, well, I'm not there for my teammates. I'm tired of just jogging off on the sideline. I want to get out there.
They still played pretty good when he went out. Shane is no slouch. Jihad Ward is no slouch. They can pick up some of that slack. They're not Aziz, but Leonard Williams, the ones that kind of concerns you. Yeah. I know Anderson came in and always does a nice job, but he's not Leonard Williams. But,
and we keep talking about the big guys returning, and now guys are going to return in a few weeks, and they're going to lose guys. Like, what is this?
This team just cannot. It's crazy. I tweeted it. I'm like, if you get, what will help, like Brandon said earlier, is if you can get Xavier back and Adoree next week, then that kind of helps, the pass rush maybe get there a little, because there's stickier coverage, but it's just never worked out to where the whole team is out there really at all. Maybe a couple games. I don't know how many snaps they played together.
Yeah, I mean, how cool though, guys, is it going to be next week? You clinch at home. Do you clinch at home when you played, Lawrence? You guys have a couple home clinches?
No, we were in Buffalo one year, the year we won it in 2007. That was the game Ahmad went crazy, right? In the snow, rain, sleet, sun, wind. And then I think the second one I think the second one we did. We beat the Cowboys at home, I think, late in the season, and ended up hosting one game. So
after all this team's been through, like, that's special, Brandon. Like, to clinch at home after these last couple of years.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Misery, like, that would be huge against the Colts, against Jeff Saturday. How about that? A guy who was never a coach, do it against him.
Nick Foles. It could be Nick Foles,
That's
right.
What's
scary. It's like, it's not Matt Ryan. That. I mean, Nick Foles is starting on Monday, and if he
not
plays
Sam
well,
Ehlinger either.
No,
it's Nick Foles.
So you're getting actually kind of, to me, I mean, he hasn't played a lot of football, an upgrade of some sorts.
To me, that means it's going to be a good game, and it could be a one possession game, but to clinch at home, you just think about the last 6 years, January football at MetLife. The tickets are going for like 20 something bucks. People were trying to give tickets away. Stadium pretty much empty or taken over by the opponent, by the other fan base. And I remember the Eagles game a couple years ago, Seahawks game, Cowboys game a couple years ago. But to be able to do that, because one thing that's been huge with the Giants this year is like the in-game entertainment at home, wanting to have DJs, wanting to have an MC. Hey guys, wanting to have, wanting to do more t-shirt tosses and honoring the vets and all that. So that was Joe Shane and Brian Dable saying, hey, we want this place. We want MetLife to be rocking. We want this to have some sort of home field advantage. So to be able to do that, the crowd they're going to be out there. They're going to be going crazy, but to be able to do that, clinch right there, that's the ultimate thank you to the fan base, not a free medium Pepsi. This would be the ultimate thank you right there, to go and to clinch and to be like, thank you for staying with us through the bad times. Now we're going to get this thing rolling and go on, not only from this year, but we've got the guy, we've got the front office. Now we're going to go get you the weapons to make the Giants football great again in that sense.
Yeah, they should still give out a large Pepsi, I think, for next week. Just let the fans have, I mean, it's going to be 60 degrees. They're going to be thirsty. It's going to be a warm January day. Yeah. Start the new year. Happy New Year. And I think the Giants showed they want these matchups to go where they can go back to Minnesota in January, because we keep seeing the 49ers. This defense is scary. Brock Purdy looks like he is legit. They got the run game with CMC. You badly want a rematch with Minnesota, because take those turnovers off, even one of the turnovers off, they win this game. So you got to want Minnesota here.
Yeah. I mean, it's a way better matchup for them, and controlled environment. You'll be indoors again. But again, I think they'll just be happy to get in, to be honest with you. I know the Niners are good, but again, Brock Purdy's never seen a defense like Wink Martindale's. He's got 3 or 4 starts under his belt. I mean, that's a different animal. I know he's a good player, and Shanahan will scheme you up and play within the system over there, but still, he still has to pull the trigger and make plays in the passing game sometimes. So I wouldn't care which team we played. I just want to make sure they get in. And they better take care of business next Sunday, because I don't think the Eagles are going to lay down. And even if they do, right, think about this. There's only so many guys you can sit.
Yeah.
So they still have a all-star cast of football players, and a lot of those players are going to raise their hand and say, no, I don't want to sit, because some guys just like playing. That's just how they, because if they sit, it's going to end up being about 2 weeks before some of these dudes play. A lot of guys don't like that. I know a lot of guys don't like that at all. The guys that want to keep playing, staying in game shape, game feel. So even if you're playing like a short-handed, Eagles team, we saw what they just did to the Cowboys today.
Yeah. And it's crazy that we're talking like, oh yeah, we want to play the Vikings. Oh, we're looking.
Care.
But that's the confidence in this team. Like, it's like, yo, guys, like, yo, you guys gonna lock it up, right? You're gonna get this dub against the Colts, right? You're almost like, if you would have asked the fan base, anybody for the last 6 years, hey, you think the Giants are going to the playoffs, or you talking playoffs in late December, January? Everybody's, what do you mean? I've already sold my tickets. What do you mean? Like, I'm worried about next year. So the fact that they just got us talking about, looking forward to the playoffs. Now the buildup is there. Please don't let the roof collapse. Do not let the roof collapse. Figure out a way to get this win next Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like it's a lock. If they do lose their last two and like some other teams
guys,
win, they miss the playoffs.
You guys all watched today. You saw what Carolina did to Detroit.
Yep.
Bludgeoned them, beat them badly.
Yep.
And by the way, unsolicited, Steve Wilkes should be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
Absolutely should be. What he's done to that team after what happened with Rule getting fired, McCaffrey getting traded, Robbie Anderson getting traded. Think about that, guys. They got rid of all their best players and said, here you go. So I like him. I like Steve Wilkes.
Sam Darnold he didn't look good at MetLife Stadium as Jet, but he goes to Carolina. He looks like he could be their guy. We'll see. It's a little early to say that, but the Commanders will play the Browns and Cowboys, so 2 tough games. The Seahawks get the Jets, who are still alive somehow, need a couple scenarios to make the playoffs, and then the Rams, and then the Lions get the Bears and Packers. So we'll see how it plays.
And the Packers are still alive, by the way, because of everything that happened today. All these NFC teams losing, Giants, Seahawks, Lions. So,
well, the time people listen to this, they might not be, because they play Sunday against the Dolphins.
That's a good point.
So we'll see what happens. So if you're listening to this on you're returning your presents on Monday morning, this might be false, but we'll see. Well, I hope the Packers, for the Jets' sake, the other side, I hope they win, because that would help the Jets out. All right, well, we're all smiles here after a loss. I think it was encouraging, and I was a guy coming to the season who was not all on the Daniel Jones train. I am all in on this guy now. Just each week he continues to impress me. And Isaiah Hodgins, take over your trap.
Take over your trap, Isaiah.
He's a dog, bro. All here, but he's a dog.
Yeah.
We were talking, remember, to go back to that trade deadline, we're like, what are we going to do? What are they going to do? Who are they going to bring in? Odell, they're going to trade for the X, Y, Z. I think that was perfect. They didn't have to give anything up, use any sort of draft capital. They knew the player. They knew the history of the player. They brought that player into Buffalo in that sense. And he all he's done is continue to make plays in this offense. I think we're slowly seeing the emergence of Daniel Jones' go-to guy. In a sense, I know he and Slayton got a great, chemistry and all. They do some great things together. But when you talk about reliability, Isaiah Hodgins, he is overproduced on what we thought he was going to do when they just picked him up off waivers.
Yeah. And Bellinger early in this year was big for him, and he's starting to get his rhythm back.
That missed time hurt. That really did. That facial injury that really set him back reps wise. Man, is there anything prettier than Slayton catching a crosser? He glides, man. Mm-hmm. He is so fast. And I know we don't hit it enough, but man, when he gets the ball in stride, you see that yak he had late in that game on that big drive where we tied it. Man, Slayton.
I thought he was going to score.
It's almost like he didn't realize. He's like, okay. And then Peterson gave up on it because he stopped running because he's like, man, this dude's too fast. But it was nice to see. And I'm glad you've come on the other side of the fence, Jake, on Daniel.
Yeah, he's grown on me. I love watching him. And even the interception wasn't terrible. Like, it wasn't a brutal throw. You see what he was trying to do.
I'd like to see Hodgins flatten that route. Brandon, top of it, he rounded. Am I wrong? I said
yeah,
someone,
those crosses, you coming across on the cross, you take a stare up, and then you get QB friendly and come down a little bit
come
more.
down because
Yeah, come
Patrick
down.
Peterson cut up under it because he was
Yep.
rounding. Just a young player error, it happens. But, listen, I said this to my kids when I was talking, I'd rather Daniel throw for 290, 320 and have a pick than throw for 170. Does that make sense? Like,
Absolutely.
I'm okay with the pick if he's throwing for 300, 280 yards. It's going to happen. But the 170 in a pick, those are typically the ones that kill you because there's just not enough yardage.
So basically, like you said, the win against the Commanders the other day when they didn't attempt to pass 15 yards.
You can't throw picks there. You can't.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely. And it was hard we couldn't even evaluate him that game in that sense. It was like, yeah, you're a cool game manager, but am I going to give you $40 million? No, this was the game after a loss that people were texting you that, give this.
But I think money. Kafka and Dable know that weakness, and it was that D line against our O line, and they're like, look, we cannot hold on to the ball. Let's just get it out quick. So that was really more on probably the O line than Daniel. That was just the game plan.
Daniel Jones, wild card 1 and 2 receivers, very much looking like Isaiah Hodgins and Darius Slayton. You would have not drawn that up.
Don't forget
Lawrence.
Richie James. Give him his love.
Yeah, although that drop, my God, he would have had a good 20 on there too.
That drop,
he competes. You know what? I like Richie James. I like him.
I like him times, but right there, he took his eyes away. He took his eyes away at that moment. It happens, but it's like it's every time. It's kind of like for Richie, you're seeing like for some guys the moment's too big. The moment's not too big for him. It's just his buildup makes a play, and then he does something bad, and it's just like, dude, wow.
Well, I think that's why he was undrafted or whatever, and why he's been on 5 teams. That's just the reality of guys that play in those roles is they just have never consistently put it together.
Yep.
But there's something there. His toughness, I like. He's available. He plays every week. I like Richie.
Hold the ball. Just hold on to the
just
ball.
Hold on to the ball, baby.
Bellinger, don't fumble, and no mistakes. And the Giants
that was a nice play by that DB.
Yeah. Well, win and in. That's right. Be there, Giants fans. Get your tickets. I sound like the ticket salesman trying to sell tickets, but show up. The weather's going to be good. It says 50% chance of rain, so you might need a poncho. It won't be as bad as the rain for Jets Jaguars. Maybe you'll get a Pepsi included. Who knows? But show up because this is big. And the Giants, this team, you should support this team because they are fun, great coaching, great upper management. And this has been a fun ride. Well, Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this Christmas episode. Happy holidays.